I say, Frederick, someone outside is making ghastly noise. Would you please tend to that matter and have that person cease and desist with that? Shoot him if necessary. Thank you, Frederick. No, that'll be all. You may go now. Good evening. Well, I thought in order to be the most objective and open-minded writer, author, lecturer, and just quite extraordinary fellow and historian, pertaining to the so-called conspiratorial 9/11 inside job theory, I decided to do a certain amount of research and development into it by looking up whatever sources were available, and I've come to the conclusion that these conspiratorialists, for lack of a better word, are just simply out of their tiny little minds. I mean, this has to be like the worst theory I've ever heard in the history of conspiratorial thinking. Do you know, I consider these people to be quite mad? There's one thing that convinced me of this was the recurring theme that I've seen in some of this material of theirs, where they say, look how strange it is the way the buildings fall down. Look at how strange it was the way they fell down, and on and whatnot and so forth. So I started thinking about it, and I decided to go to my old alma mater of Oxford, and I saw the professor who has a PhD in science and physics and whatnot, and I said, now look here, old boy, in all your years of science and research and physics and whatnot and so forth, have you ever had anything that you've known of in the history of all of mankind, and all of science, and all of nature, where something has fallen up? And he gave it a bit of thought. In fact, he thought about it for quite some time. I'd have to say for maybe 3/4 of a second. And he said, well, no, actually, I don't think I ever have. So, there we are. So for all you conspiratorialists out there, I have to say, well, sorry, old boy, you're just going to have to look elsewhere for something conspiratorial, because, honestly, I would be on your side if the buildings had fallen upward and just disappeared into the stratosphere. I simply would have said, well, that's jolly well strange. This perhaps needs some looking into, and can very well perhaps could be conspiratorial. But I'm afraid it's not, so there it is.